bad.
Nah, it
I
hurt
just
me.
saw your picture, and I was like, "That's my friend." It was a picture of you on the
And
screen.
the pink hat.
Yeah, it was my friend Ricky. I just had to explain. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of British programming, so if a British accent pops out, it's between watching like Doctor Who, and then I started watching Drag Race, and then I've been watching Drag Race UK, and then there's another show, and then I've been watching, yeah. I don't watch them all at the same time. Drag Race I do watch consistently, but the other two shows I'm like, I'll watch that. But I like it.
Right.
Hello,
Okay.
Malcolm.
Hey, Cam.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm always here, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I meant welcome to them.
Yeah. Welcome to everybody else listening, whoever is listening.
Welcome to A Lot to Say, a podcast where Malcolm and Cam and friends have a lot to say.
All the friends.
And we have a very special friend today, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. And post, let's put in a drum roll sound.
Okay.
You know. And we're on this show, we have people, you say it from your chest. Let the people know who you are.
I am Zack Vance.
Yeah. That's a cool name.
That really is,
you.
though.
That was a really cool name.
And
But I wasn't Zachariah.
It sounds like a blues singer's name, if you will. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, if you, I don't know. Doesn't that not sound like a blues singer's name?
I could dig it.
Yeah,
dig
you know
it.
what I'm saying? It's a very Austin apropos name. And this is the name that, ladies and gentlemen, you will want to familiarize yourself, especially in the political elections that are coming up.
Yes.
Because he has a lot of positive things to say, and I want to actually take this time to learn about his platform, learn about what it is that he's trying to do for the people, by the people, because that's what we stand for on the show.
Yeah.
And anything other than that can hit the road. Period.
I agree with that 1,000%.
You know?
Me too.
So, Zach, are you a registered voter?
I am, but I to be honest, the first time I voted was the most recent presidential election. I haven't been politically active up until now, for reasons that I've always been center right as Republican leaning, and Texas has always been a Republican state.
Yeah. Right.
And growing up as a kid, I knew things would always be this way, and I didn't want things to change because I was always kind of happy with them. There's a few issues I could go. I would really a couple of things I would want to change, but for the most part, things are as I would want them to be. And so I never thought that I needed to be politically active. Or a lot of things is the things I do care about, my voice wouldn't be heard, and I think that's what a lot of people feel like, and why they don't get into vote or register is because they don't think that their vote matters, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
And the reverse effect kind of happened to me, but it only because I deeply dived into politics. So I've always been voting. This is the first time I didn't vote. So kind of reverse effect, kind of like, let me reserve it until I really know where my vote is going to.
Gotcha.
Kind of for the presidency.
Right.
And so it kind of had the knowledge gave me the power to exercise my right to not vote, just to say, hey, I'm gonna wait to see until.
And that's a statement too, to say, hey, I'm not happy with these choices. I can't.
Which is especially valid, as, going forward within the election. And I do want to say, I know we may have listeners who may skew more so liberal, because especially with our banter, we
don't even know.
But this show is about having a conversation. It's about learning, because I do feel like the idea of a two-party system or this or that doesn't work. It's antiquated, and I think
it represents too much.
Yeah, exactly.
It represents too much. To have two parties and have so many different voices and say, oh, you think a little bit this way, so you have to go that way. You think a little bit this way, so you have to go that way. Yeah. Two parties is destroying America. I think.
Right. And I feel like especially in this world that we're living in, I think being able to have open dialogue and conversations is extremely important.
Absolutely.
So let's do it, gang.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
So to get started, who the hell are you?
I am Zack Vance again, and I am running to be Texas's next lieutenant governor.
Nice.
Because let me tell you, I am not a big fan of our lieutenant governor right now. I have never been a big fan.
What's your opinion on the current?
May I ask?
Absolutely. I think Dan Patrick ran in 2015 on a strong border and lowering property taxes, and it's just something that's not happened. the true feeling I feel about Dan is I think he doesn't. I think Dan cares only about Dan. There's so many things that people want. He'll choose an issue that only. Man, I have to start over. I'm sorry.
No.
Dude.
I guess
We never start over.
Yeah.
Oh,
let me tell you
It's
something.
very natural.
This is we're just having it, and I'll tell you for me with Dan Patrick, because what you said were a lot of things. I feel like. Let me rephrase this. Dan Patrick to
you
me
had to start over
represents
too.
someone who is very antiquated and, like you said, comes from a grouping of people, the good old boys, who give a shit only about themselves.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as a young black queer person, though I have not been queer my whole identifying life,
Yeah.
but as a young person of color, it's like you see Dan Patrick and his actions, and it's just like, of course he's never cared. So it's just crazy to me that he's still in office. He's still being able to do all of these things. And also, mind you, the amount of power that the lieutenant governor actually has and that he holds in Texas political system. That man has a lot of power, and he does nothing.
So
to help us.
do you know what? So going by what he's been saying he's gonna do, and then seeing what he has done, do you know why he's done what he's done?
Yeah.
Dan Patrick continues to hold power because of those two reasons of strong border and lowering property taxes. That's pretty much what Texans want. They don't want, and the Second Amendment issue. Dan, the biggest thing I don't like about Dan Patrick is he thinks that he's casting aside his Christian convictions by letting people live the free lives that they want to live, and that's not the case. You can allow people to do the things that they want to do and still be a Christian.
Right.
Being a Christian is something that you should have in your own life.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say, I'm a Christian, so you have to live the way I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not God's police. You're not there to say, oh, they shouldn't do this because I feel this way. That's not the way this should be.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like and like you said, I feel like in the last election, the one that we just had on Tuesday, this was recorded. What day is this, Malcolm?
Today's the 6th, 5th?
Today's the 6th, so just keep that in mind. But one of the things that was in, the ballots was whether churches have the choice because of COVID, whether they, in a situation like that, if they have the choice to still assemble, even if it's like worldwide pandemic, lockdown, the government needs you to close down. Where do you stand with that, if I may ask?
That's an issue that because Texas is so religious, or most Texans are religious, most voting
hot topic, thing for this election. Yeah.
I think church is very essential. I think if you your faith, I think, is very essential. Whenever during times of crisis, a lot of people, that's pretty much what they have is their faith that they can kind of hold on to still when everything else is crumbling.
Right.
I think you should be allowed to still be able to go to church. If unless the pandemic is, something crazy. Then I think churches should pretty much remain open. I think
they have to have more of like provisions. Like, okay, you can have this many people in a whatever, like 1,000 capacity church. You can have maybe 500 people.
Right.
During a stage 5 or whatever like that, instead of just saying, okay, no church.
Well, I think that's what they're voting on, is to be able to say, with these precautions, these are going to be the lockdown ordinances.
Right. Well, the church will always remain open no matter what.
Now, exactly.
Yeah,
I think it's just there's no say.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is.
It was kind of like the bars. They just kind of did it. And it never was a legal thing. It was just like, hey, you better not do that.
Well, see, but the bars were still getting fined though out the ass,
they were getting
being
fined,
shut down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now that eliminates churches from being, I guess,
having the same effect.
Yeah, which I guess like I can get like the freedom to do what you want to do, all that other stuff. But I feel like if whatever medical board is saying, yo, SARS is crazy out here, son. You should probably stay at
Well,
home.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
should be advised.
Like it's an Ebola outbreak. We should definitely close the
like
churches.
stay home. That's
I
what I'm
was
saying.
listening.
And there's
This
some people
is
that won't.
this is in the like the beginning. I guess in the beginning parts of this is still when Trump was president. A lot of the president, like Kamala, Biden, they were like, I ain't taking the vaccine. They were very hesitant, and they put hesitancy into the public in the wrong way just because the other political party was in office. And so now we're here, and you have a whole third of the country that didn't vote, and they're like, look, I'm just going to do what I need to do to save my own health. You know, these mandates, I'll go, you know, whatever way I need to go, but I don't think it's the one size fits all thing. Like,
I'm
it
gonna
just
be
doesn't work for
honest
America.
with you though. I am exhausted in talking about coronavirus as if this is a political issue.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Because it's not. And to be honest, because it's been so politicized and it's, we should do this. No. The other side says don't do this, so we got to do that. A lot of people have died because of that. You know what I'm saying? Because of a lot of bullshit. May I ask you what is your opinion on the politicization? Yeah, that word. That word right there.
The virus. Yeah.
It's. I just think that we should. I think I'll just tell you how I feel about Corona. I think once the vaccines rolled out and to a majority of people, I think pandemic over.
Yeah.
I think once you have the choice to say, no, I don't want that vaccine, that's it. It's if you die because you chose not to get the vaccine, that is on you.
Yeah.
As a Republican, I believe in personal responsibility, personal freedom, and that's the freedom to say no. But you're responsible if you die, and that's how. And I'll be honest, I caught COVID early on, and I will not get the vaccine. I think it really sucks. Whoever let that virus out of the lab really screwed the world, because you either now have to get the shot or you have to catch COVID.
Yeah.
You will not live the rest of your life COVID free.
Yeah, we're all gonna get it.
You're all gonna get it, and so you either have to get a natural immunity or you take the vaccine. But if you chose not to, then that's
you're
on
just
you.
gambling.
Yeah, you're just gambling.
And I mean, there's plenty of studies that are out there that most of the outlets don't want to cover. Like, a lot of the kids are just not dying. The kids who are dying have comorbidities,
like
overweight,
and that's awful. But whoever let that out,
happens.
it's gonna have to happen. It's eventually gonna happen.
And I think that's the other thing too, though. And going back to that word, it's like it's a bit disheartening, because I feel like if you can honestly just say on camera, hey, you know what I'm saying? We highly encourage you to get the shot. If you don't, here are the precautions.
Yeah.
That being said, people who are more at risk, which I feel like they have said that, but it needs to be stressed more that these vaccines are people who are more at risk.
The reason why they were trying to make it seem like you have to get the vaccine is because at first they were saying if you get the vaccine, you're protecting other people.
Yeah,
but
that's
not the case. You know, it's now come out that you're only protecting yourself, and it's now come out also that you might have, or even better, immunity if you just catch the virus naturally and getting the vaccine.
I feel that.
And what's crazy to me is for the most part the COVID doesn't. If you're healthy and you exercise, you're not. They're trying to push a vaccine saying you don't have to be healthy, just take the vaccine.
Exactly,
we need to be pushing health.
Yes.
We need to be pushing eating right, exercising. Not say, oh, just take the vaccine. Take the vaccine. We just have to start being healthy again.
And I really would like. I'm wondering though, because I've actually, now that we talk about it, I can't really put my frame of reference on what either party says about the importance of just increasing a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
Neither one of neither one of them said. Well,
So-
when Trump was in office, he was actually the only one who was saying, "Oh, I'm taking this, that, and that," and now literally all those list of drugs that he took are in the NIH website for COVID treatment.
Okay.
And they've always been there. But since it's been politicized, all those drugs have been, demonized, and you shouldn't do that. But all these poor countries that haven't gotten the vaccine, they are using them.
I feel like more of the injustice is like, it really, to me, that's the gross part, is like the country where it's like, no, I don't want to take that medicine, mom.
Yeah.
But then literally the excess that the kids refuse to take are just going to waste when countries like India is literally like breaking down.
Africa's vaccinated 2% of their population, which is
wild.
Nothing. And their cases are low because they have a very young population.
And healthy. And I think living out I think there's a group of people somewhere that have the healthiest hearts because they constantly expose themselves to bacteria and just little germs that your body's constantly fighting off. So when your body's constantly fighting that stuff off, you're healthier because your body's just overcoming.
Definitely.
So let me ask you this question. Talking about COVID, another issue that I have with Dan Patrick, is the state stance with healthcare.
Women's healthcare?
Yeah, well, healthcare for all.
Okay.
Well, I honestly, it's a litany of issues with them as far as healthcare goes. Can I ask you what your stance is? And I'm saying this for Dan Patrick more so because he's an arrogant asshole. Not so much because of like what he stands for, but it's just how he,
One of the big things Democrats are trying to push in the legislature is expanding for Medicaid. Yeah. I don't think that's a good idea. There's too many doctors that don't accept it. You'll overwhelm the system. Texas needs its own health insurance program. We need to get people on a certain health insurance. First of all, we need to. There shouldn't be different costs for different insurances and different procedures or different costs for the same procedures. Everything needs to be standardized. And then we need to have Texas somehow create an insurance program where we can get everybody on it, but you have to pay. You can't just have free insurance. Everybody has to pay or even just not an income tax, but somebody's got to pay for it, or you have to pay for your own health care. But if you have a full-time job,
if our toll roads paid for it,
most of the money goes to other companies overseas.
French companies. Yeah, that's if the things that we use and have to pay for here in our state, the potholes not being fixed and all that, we should be able to get something from us paying for these things.
If the toll road was our pipeline for insurance, honey, no one's getting insurance because nobody pays their toll tax.
Another thing is, for if you're uninsured and you go to the emergency room, taxpayers foot that bill.
They do,
and the hospital is charging the state way more because there's no insurance, so they can charge
whatever they want.
10 times the actual cost of the thing.
And that was something that was supposed to be in the infrastructure bill, where the hospitals will be able to negotiate the price of the drugs.
Right.
It's out.
So, as far as like creating a program within the state of Texas, which I think that's a fabulous idea. I do think, and honestly, the amount of people that live in the state of Texas that would be benefiting from this program. Can I ask you, so like logistically, how long of a process would that take in order for something like that to be enacted, and how effective? Because this is, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? How effective would that be though, especially for like low income people of color, or maybe even people who are, immigrants, you know what I'm saying? Because honestly, it's just like, you look at Texas post-COVID and the shit that we went through last year. I mean, we went through a doozy, a medical system. You know what I'm saying? So how effective would that be as far as helping its people?
Just getting everybody some sort of an insurance and being able to have that price set in stone that the hospitals charge. We could get. Basically, I would want to create something where if you have a job, if you have insurance, at least 5 to 10% of your paychecks most people that have insurance through their companies, 5 to 10% of their paychecks is going to that insurance.
Oh, definitely.
I think everybody, if you work in Texas, I think we should take 5% of your paycheck, and no matter if you're making and put that towards insurance. But if you're making $10 an hour,
right?
It's it's only 5%, but still I want to give everybody. You're still paying into the pot, but with the already set price. You're not getting screwed. So if everybody paid into this, if everybody paid into their, depending on their income level, but 5%, and then maybe if you have kids, 6%, another kid 8%, then you're still taking away the person's income, but now you have insurance and you're taking the burden off the homeowners.
Just that right there is, I mean, 30 to 40,000 people go bankrupt for medical bills every year. So just having that,
Because
that's crazy.
I've never had to go through the process with Obamacare, but what exactly is that process, if I may ask? I'm just asking.
It's very simple,
and I know there's a lot of young people like myself.
But it's
go online and just choose your plan.
It's really bad because you'll choose, like, some plans will be really cheap, but then the deductible is crazy.
Okay.
And then some plans the deductible is fine, but then the copay is crazy high. It's just something is to the point where you got to pay a lot, or if you're paying for the one that's free, you barely getting anything.
Right. So it seems like, and I asked that question because, I feel like the American healthcare system is ever evolving. Especially, I think about the fact that if I lived 10 years ago, I would have well, I work for the state right now, but if I weren't working at the state, I would just have no insurance right now.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And I have a lot of friends that are 27, 26 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're still able to get their insurance. So I'm just wondering, what will be the thing that will help click into our politicians? Let's actually move towards some sort of medical program that will actually help everyone rather than making these little salve things.
They can't, because the insurance companies make too much money.
Exactly. Their incentive is to profit.
Their incentive.
Well, my question, and asking young people like yourself, so is the plan to basically move into these offices so that we can set up legislation to stop programs like Big Pharma
lobbying,
or, from lobbying and being able to make money off of, Texas alone with lobbying is crazy. I saw an article on Texas Monthly where they were talking about how much some of these like lobbying company people make. It's crazy money.
Yeah.
So is that what the goal is?
If I was president, I would end it.
That's a big thing to try to. You got to go all the way to the top.
I'm just wondering, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are these things that we are going to do so that we can stop Big Pharma from having such a strong armhold over our government?
We just have to end their lobbying. We have to standardize care to where this medicine costs X amount of dollars for everybody, and we can't say there's too many that cost this much for this person, this much for this person on this insurance, and that has to change. We have to have a standard set.
Could you make it? Could you ban lobbying in Texas?
Not pharmaceutical wise, because it's not. They're lobbying Congress. They're not lobbying the state legislature.
Right. But still, though, we just want to know.
Anyway, because if there's a way to just not even let them into our state, to where the head of Texas doesn't even see that part, then we could negotiate with the head of Texas to give us what we want.
We can legislate how much we pay. We can legislate how much they're charging, and
it rubs me the wrong way because I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, it's almost a brick wall in a way. But
for me, I chose to work for the state because I knew my insurance was going to be free. Okay, and I knew that because of COVID, there's not a lot of people working right now.
I think that so many people is the same situation. So many people just work to have their insurance.
Just have insurance.
Just have insurance.
Me,
and they'll stay in the worst job, hating it, just to keep their kids from losing everything if they get sick.
Not saying that the state of Texas is a horrible place to work. No, I'm just kidding.
Not saying that.
No, for real, it is.
Exactly.
I think your mic turned.
Let me see. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
But it's just like, not trying to say this, no shades of Texas. But,
I think working for the government, working for the state is awesome, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I think a lot of people that do work for the state are kind of getting screwed.
Hell yeah! Let's talk about.
State. I want to really help state employees.
Can we talk about this? I want to talk to you about this because I'm a state employee, and I'm actually I'm perturbed because of a lot of like weird promises that the state promised essential workers during quarantine. Like myself, I worked every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Didn't reflect anything to my pay. Nothing.
Because your salary.
My salary froze. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's just like. I just got a promotion, but that was just because somebody retired.
It wasn't
but it wasn't for that though.
Busting your
what
ass.
I'm saying? Exactly, literally. And then I also know that they're like fucking with our pension. I am fine. So if you don't know, if you work for the state of Texas, I think it's September forward, or if you work for the state of Texas starting September going onward, your pension is essentially, I think, like half.
Ooh.
Or
Yeah, they're messing the pensions up bad.
They cut pensions. Thank you, Jesus. My pension is fine. But I still think that's fucked up, though.
Yeah,
you
they're
know what I'm saying?
they want it to be more privatized instead of
Yeah.
state funded.
So what is that
Wow.
about then? I don't understand.
I'm not sure too much on that issue. I have to learn about it more, but I know
Yeah.
that they're trying to take cost. They're trying to basically put more cost onto you guys
Right.
and pay for your own retirements
Exactly.
than having the state
Like
pay
they
for it.
literally are pushing. I get mail like once a month about switching over to
They've-
401k. Have you ever thought about? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want that. I have my
No.
pension. I'm
They've
not
been
gonna,
they've
you
been
know.
paying state employee pensions with a credit card for years,
Whoa.
and they haven't been
Literally.
paying the balance of the credit card. So now they're screwed. They need
Literally.
so much money,
Oh,
and
no.
and if they didn't do this, it would bankrupt the state.
Well,
Use that Rona money.
Yeah.
Well,
Shit.
let's
Yeah,
talk.
Wow.
there's so many things that this state doesn't prioritize. There's so
Literally.
priorities, and they don't do
Yeah.
it.
And I
They
will-
care about the most stupid bullshit.
And you know, I'm not talking about
The
where I
stadium.
work, whatever, but I just know, and I even see like there's a real fear among state employees with going back to work and having the clean work environments, especially because they're putting a lot of money in right now to build the state mall. So a lot of state offices are kind of looking,
Pretty run down.
they're looking not that great. So a lot of people do not want to come back to work,
That's
and
Yeah.
that's forcing a lot of people to
That's a lot of people.
retire early. That's also, and then it's crazy the amount of people that have died
really
that work for the state. It's a lot of people.
from COVID or just
From
from COVID.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a lot of people. It's crazy.
Wow.
And so they're pushing a lot of people. They're like if I get in trouble, whatever. I have skills. I'll be fine.
Our state is
What did he say?
our state with state employees is in crisis mode.
It really is though. Not
State
kidding.
employees from all the way from police in Houston,
Yeah.
Austin, Dallas,
Wow.
to EMS to 911 operators.
Yeah.
Texas is hurting so bad.
What do you think is the solution then to
Stop putting money into things that shouldn't be have money put in, and start
Definitely.
paying for the real people that make this state run.
float,
Yeah.
literally? You know, because I feel sometimes like I'm like, you know, I'm very blessed. I'm thankful that I have free insurance or whatever because I work for the state and I know other people don't. But then I have to say, no, bitch, you work very hard and you work for a state
You
agency.
do,
This
you
is a
do.
state
You
agency.
should
deserve
be-
what you have.
Yeah, exactly. Like this
And
is the job.
And it should be
know?
you should be compensated for that. It shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm doing this because I'm trying to help. I'm helping my state. I'm doing good things." You should feel like you're doing good things, but also that they thank you for it.
Yeah.
Right.
That
You should
you're
be
doing-
able to live downtown.
Yeah.
Well, listen, nobody can.
Well,
You know, I'm
I
just saying.
think the way that they have made it to where they've made it to where people have been flocking to the state,
Yeah.
and it's just it's creating an artificially inflated housing market that's literally killing people that can't get houses.
Yeah.
Texans cannot buy houses anymore. The only people that can afford a home in Texas are rich Texans and people moving
California,
from California or New York.
Yeah.
Texans cannot buy homes anymore, and that's unacceptable.
So
Yeah.
can I ask, what is I don't want to say a solution. 'cause
I'll tell you a
that's-
solution.
Oh yeah.
Um,
yeah.
I think that it should work similar to in-state tuition for schools. So if you live in Texas, you get in-state purchasing power,
Oh.
and you buy that house for it costs whatever they're selling it for. But if you are not a Texas resident, you get charged a
Out-of-state
20 to
taxes.
30% tax on top of that house, on top of the
Yes.
asking price.
That's
That's the only
genius.
way.
I can't tell you how many people I met who
That's
moved
actually
from New
fucking
York.
smart.
Their job moved them
They're
over
coming
here.
they're coming with play money.
Yeah,
It's fake money.
and they're like,
literally.
it's so cheap here. I'm like,
And then they buy my grandmother's house over, in Mueller Park.
And,
Yeah.
and that what's happening is these people are getting taxed out of their homes. So the reason there's so many houses for sale is because
yeah,
we
they
have
protect
to
them.
end the reappraising of homes.
Yeah.
That's the biggest answer.
BlackRock bought a whole
Yeah.
I think 30,000 homes in Texas
Yeah.
and just resold them.
And they're going to turn them all into rentals.
yeah.
They're not going to be sold back.
That's
They
crazy.
outbid people who would have
Yeah.
lived and owned those homes
Who live in Texas.
and who would have had been their own home, outbid them, and then went upside down because they gambled too hard, and now they're going to turn all those homes into rental homes.
So, kind of talking about what we were discussing
Sorry.
at the table, or no, not at all. You're fine. What we were talking about at the table, it's in addition to what you were saying, and I was telling you that my friend lives out in Liberty Hill because literally that's the only place you can buy cheap land. And now you see Bastrop, Liberty Hill are going through their own housing booms. And, you know, I do feel like neighborhoods need to be protected within the state. Like I look at East Austin, it's gone. You know what I'm saying?
That's where we're at.
They're building a film studio, I think, in Bastrop.
Yeah.
What are some things that people can do to help like protect their community? What would you suggest?
Just getting involved with your city council, just paying attention to what's happening in your small towns, going to school board meetings, just being really involved with your community. You have to know what's going on, and when you hear something you don't like, you have to fight for it.
Totally.
You really have to fight against it. I don't like how Texas is exploding. It's a scientific fact that the more people that live in an area, quality of life goes down.
Yeah.
And the thing I don't like about Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott is they care more about bringing people from other states to Texas than they do about Texans living in Texas, and that's bullshit.
I agree. It's okay, and I'm like, I'm a pretty patriotic person. Well, that's not the right. No, I am patriotic. I love America, but I am very proud of Texas as a whole, and I just feel like Texas is getting a really horrible rap, especially changing gears.
Especially after that winter storm.
Well, okay, let's talk about the winter storm and how signs were there, but yet they did nothing to really prepare people for that.
The very next legislative session that happened after the report came out that said if the temperature drops below this degrees, your system will fail. The very next legislative session, Dan Patrick's only worry was bathroom bill.
Which is crazy to me because it's such a minuscule bill in comparison to the plethora of shit that Texas has to deal with. Yeah. I remember seeing that on like CNN or something. I'm like, we should not be talking about this. Texas has got a laundry list of shit that they need to
There's so many things that need to be done, and when you only care about those stupid little shit that keeps your base voting for you in office, because your base will always vote. He's really trying to win over the center voters, and by saying I care about the border, I'm trying to lower your property tax, and I care about the Second Amendment, center voters will always vote right. So he always keeps his base wet and happy with the stupid shit, and then says, I'm coming to save your taxes, or I'm coming to lower your taxes. I'm keeping that strong border. So the center people are going to, okay, well, I guess I'll vote for you. And that's kind of how it is. That's why he always says in power.
Capturing that vote. That's all.
So would you say then, okay, because what you were saying about how people who are kind of in the middle don't really know where they want to vote, they'll kind of lean left.
Texas is an independent state that leans right.
So I feel like using these like taboo topics, which targets other minority communities and stuff like that, aren't there other topics that they can talk about?
No.
Really?
Not if your base is receptive.
Once you take that step away, like think about Crenshaw. Crenshaw was conservative, Republicans loved him. Right. He said one time he was considering red flag laws. They hate him now. Once you take that next little step to the middle, your base disowns you.
That's crazy.
And you cannot let go of that base. But that's why we need more people in the center that don't need those outside bases.
Right.
We need people in the middle. Right. And that's what I'm running. I'm running in the middle, slight to the right.
Because I'm just like, there's got to be more than just targeting other
It's
people.
all about that.
I don't like them.
That's you people. That's what Facebook got in trouble with, saying they put stuff that makes you mad in front of you to keep you on Facebook longer. So the more he says these people this, these people that, blame it on them. That they
get more of it.
Right.
Socialist left this, Democrats that, the Hispanics this. You just feed them.
It's clickbait.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you then, speaking of clickbait, and talking about what other people outside of Texas may think about us, we're going through a lot of hot fire, especially when we talk about abortion within the state. Can I ask
watching that
you? Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I was watching the live. Who was testifying? It was Texas State was testifying in Congress about that, or the government is suing the.
It's in the Supreme Court.
Right? Supreme Court. Yeah. I was listening to the Supreme Court hear it. Very
Well,
it wasn't even about abortion.
well, the thing is,
It's about whether or not they can do it.
Yeah, it was about the law,
Yeah.
legality,
And
and then
basically.
also the fact that it basically asks people to be police citizens, and you can
Yeah.
report
Bounty
people,
hunters.
or bounty
yeah,
hunters.
basically they
Yeah.
the argument of the state of Texas was the person is not connected to the state of Texas because in the statute it says that they aren't connected. But and then the Supreme Court was trying to argue, well, they're getting $10,000
Right.
from the state of Texas.
Right. And a reward.
And it says that we can't intervene in this,
Yeah.
which is very weird. Like
So
it won't even go through Congress.
that's why I'm like, can
Because it's not it's civil, not
Yeah, it's a
legal.
civil.
okay. So what is that gonna happen then?
Well, think about this. This is so what the Supreme Court's saying. Kavanaugh said. He said,
Yeah.
"What if
Kavanaugh,
gun owners? What if somebody gets into
Exactly.
power that doesn't
Exactly.
like guns
Yeah.
and says you can sue whoever you don't if you don't like AR-15s, you can find whoever owns an AR-15 and sue them for $10,000 if you know they have an AR-15 in their
Yeah,
home."
same thing. And another one pulled up.
That's
She
crazy.
was like discrimination rights. What if someone's like sues you because they're discriminating against? They don't think you should be able to
Snitch
be
on
who
somebody.
you are,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
and
Wow.
state of Texas didn't really have an argument for that.
Right.
Uh,
So is that not gonna happen? Because I thought when I learned.
Well, they haven't
about
voted
They
on
that-
haven't
it
voted
yet.
it yet.
Okay,
Yeah, it's still
okay.
coming up.
Which is also shocking that again, media wants to put left and right. You know what I'm saying? And we come out seeing a very unified Supreme
But
Court.
the
you know what I'm
thing
saying?
about these
With
Supre-
this issue.
If they truly care about the Constitution,
yeah,
they no matter what their religious beliefs or
Yeah.
convictions, if they care about the Constitution and people's freedoms,
right.
then
Yeah.
then you have to only go one way with this.
Truly, because it's
definitely.
disturbing, especially the snitch thing. Because then that's like some. I don't want to say this and sound ignorant, but that is some like World War II shit, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Being able to be like, hey,
It's
such and such.
Gestapo type.
Yeah,
literally,
definitely.
yeah. I'm glad you said that. I didn't want to say.
I just the thing about
It is what it is.
I just think it's crazy that somebody can say in Texas I'll just tell you how I feel about it completely. In my life, in my household, I am pro-life. I don't want an abortion to ever, ever, ever happen. But what I don't want even more to happen is a child to come into this world, into a home that parents do not give a damn about it. That to me is worse than death.
Yeah.
And in my family, if I have two sons, if they ever get a girl pregnant in the future, I will make them have that baby.
Right.
I will never, nobody in my family will have an abortion as long as I have a say.
Right.
But at the same time, there's so many people out there. So just more recently, Dan Patrick was on Inside Texas Politics with Jason Whiteley. He asked him, Republicans for a long time have been fighting to end frivolous lawsuits, and that's what Texans for Lawsuit Reform have given Republicans so much money to end frivolous lawsuits. And he says, so doesn't this creating frivolous lawsuits?
Yeah.
The only thing he said is, I only care about saving 50,000 babies. I only care about saving 50,000 babies. Think about this.
It's so much detrimental.
In Houston, just recently, Houston police came across an apartment that had 3 children living in it, and in the back room was a decomposed skeleton of another child. They found out that the woman whose children that was let her boyfriend beat that child to death in front of her children.
What?
Those
the
brothers watched their brother die,
Whoa.
watched the life leave his eyes. And if you're saving 50,000 children from being aborted, at least 1,000 children are going to go into a home just like that one.
Yeah.
They lived in an apartment with nothing. Their parents didn't live in the apartment. They had no furniture, no bed, no nothing. She would just come by, give them food and leave.
Right.
Those children endured something much more than death.
Right.
And I
Definitely.
think that's awful that,
Yeah,
that they're sentencing children to live lives with families like this, and that is unacceptable. That is more unacceptable than ending abortion.
Yeah.
And let me ask
Definitely.
you this then. Do you think that the state needs to take more accountability in how they have tried to kind of like come for certain laws that kind of revoke women's choice to choose and things of that nature. Because that is a real big issue, especially amongst young female voters.
I think you should I think abortion should be legal up to 12 weeks.
Right.
I think you should have the freedom as a Republican, believing in freedom.
Right.
You have the freedom to choose when to become a parent.
Yeah.
And I think you should have the right to have an abortion up until 12 weeks.
Definitely.
See, that's the problem with a lot of people on the right. They are not willing to admit, look, I believe in this, but I also believe in,
because it's the choice,
the Constitution, the right for someone else to choose with their own body. Right. It's so hard for a lot of people to.
Which is the crazy part about this, though, is that let's talk about COVID again. You know what I'm saying? And the vaccine. On the flip side, we do see a lot of people who lean conservative who don't want to get the shot because it's their choice not to put it in their body. Mm-hmm. And to that, I say that is okay because that's your choice.
We got friends.
And it should just be that all around people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The answer ain't that hard.
It becomes more detrimental to people's lives when you start trying to control what people are doing in their lives.
Right.
Then people have to go different ways to try to live, and they end up in a wrong situation, a very dangerous situation, because they have to go around these legal bars.
And that creates a shitstorm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
women driving to Mexico for
literally
back alley abortions, and almost dying from that.
Even by ending, but you're saving 50,000 children. At least 500 are going to end up in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Literally, though.
Definitely.
I mean, honestly,
that's even worse.
Within a system that really is already exhausted.
Foster care.
Yeah, that's
poverty.
the biggest thing. Our foster care system is in shambles and at maximum capacity. There's children sleeping on floors in offices and in hotel rooms. They have no room for these children. And if you're saving 50,000 children from being abortion, 20,000 of them need to go into foster care. There's no room for 20,000 kids.
Yeah, not at all.
How can you be pro-life and want to send children into a system? There's a recent article just came out that said foster children are in unlicensed facilities being prostituted out and given given the wrong medications. You can't be pro-life and want to send a child into a system that allows that to happen. You cannot do it. It doesn't make sense. You don't tell me you're pro-life when you are not pro-life. You're pro-baby, and it's not your baby.
Yeah,
I felt that.
that's your campaign slogan right now.
And ladies, you have to choose to do.
That's your baby, lady.
What the fuck you want to do with your body, and we
definitely
support that. Can
well
I
said.
ask you this question, good sir? Let's talk about you. Let's get to know you.
Yeah.
So, when did you actually start? I guess I don't want to say when did you fall in love with politics, because that sounds corny as fuck.
Nobody falls in love with politics.
Yeah, exactly. But when did you find your interest in it, or when
So I worked at Spectrum News, and I worked on did a little help on a political show there.
Shout out Spectrum. Good
job. Just helping with the political show, just being around the lawmakers. During the 86th legislative session, I lobbied with veterans in Texas Normal for medical cannabis in Texas, and just going office to office and trying to spill my heart to these lawmakers and going to these committee hearings for these bills. I just saw the whole process, and I said, this is not how it's supposed to work. Yeah. These people do not give a shit about what you're in here talking about. And working on the show too, I was around some of the state senators and just seeing how they were in the studio, and then going on in the front of a camera. There's two different people.
Yes.
And then
definitely.
My whole experience with the political system in the 86th legislature, I saw how broken the system is because of the people at the top, because of Abbott, because of Patrick. Yeah. Everything is green light or red light through Patrick. And if you're in that building and you're spilling and you're saying your heart and soul in this committee hearing to these people, those lawmakers know whether or not Dan's going to pass that bill or not. So you're saying everything on deaf ears, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. If you're in a committee hearing and 75 to 80% of the people in that room want that bill passed, that bill needs to pass. That's bullshit. That you're not that you're saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian, so you can't do that. Yeah. I feel this way, so I'm a Christian in my life, and I don't like that, so you can't do it."
I'm God.
That is not.
That's why I was saying it's like when I think I was in. I think I just dropped out of college, and I was talking to my mom about that because she had just moved over to the attorney general's, like doing work with them or whatever. Not that she worked for him; she just worked at that office. And my mom was like, we were talking about, you know, politics within Texas and how it works and what powers are delegated to what. When you learn about the lieutenant governor in the state of Texas and what he can and can't do, it's crazy. It's crazy.
He's everything.
Shit.
He's everything.
He's everything. Almost to a point where it's like, Greg who?
Yeah.
Greg what?
Because the thing about it too, if
You
you're
know?
a good lieutenant governor, and you have if I am lieutenant governor, I will have a supermajority.
Right.
And, no matter who's governor, the guys that are running for governor right now are all trash on the Republican ticket. And if any one of those guys become governor, it wouldn't matter who, as long as I'm lieutenant governor, because it'll be my agenda, not theirs.
And also, he's been there for so long and has done nothing.
So
like really,
he just wants to be there.
Yeah.
He just wants to do the bare minimum and say, "Oh, we did this for you and this for you and this for you." He's saying he's handing you a plate of crumbs and calling it filet mignon.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No.
I don't want that shit. I want the real deal.
Who's what are your opponents?
So right now his name is Daniel Miller. He's part of the Texas nationalist movement. He wants Texas to exit the union. He wants Texas to secede. And
secede from the
union.
United
Yeah,
States.
they want Texas to be its own independent country.
I don't know if
And that's a
I'm
big
ready
thing.
for
A lot of
that.
people do
That's
want that.
huge.
It's very
It
big right
is.
now.
But we just talked about the amount of money that they have.
We
with
can't even
pension
build one. We
alone.
can't even build a chain link fence on the border with Texas
Thank
funds.
you.
What makes
Oh
us
my
think that we're going
Lord.
to build a border around the entire state?
No, we can't.
I think
No,
about that all
not
the
even.
time. I'm like, you realize, people, it's a fence.
Yeah.
It's a fence. That is all, and it's like literal holes within this fence
Yeah.
for no reason. So
And it's
Yeah.
and with my military service, I have a Purple Heart. I'm a retired Marine Corps, and if the Texas was to secede, that would throw away everything I've sacrificed for, and I will never ever let that happen. I fought too hard. I've been through too much bullshit to ever turn my back on America.
I think that's so weird. Though.
How long were you in the service?
For 5 years.
5 years.
And we thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to everyone who served.
Yeah,
Because
thank you.
That's
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
My
real
mom was in the Air Force for 14 years, I think. Way back then.
No, thank
Yeah.
your mother. That's awesome.
Nice.
My grandfather served. And this was also in the 60s and 70s. So don't ask me the dates.
Back in the day.
Because I will fuck them up. you
Yeah,
know?
I don't know the dates either.
But yeah, I think secession. Listen, and I know like maybe it's not super in vogue to be like overly patriotic to your country, but like you still should be somewhat patriotic to the state, or not to the state, to the United
country, for
States.
sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
so weird to me.
They hate what the federal government's doing, and they think that Texas
Right.
has a big enough economy and a big enough military force to take off on our own and do our own thing.
I mean,
And I think that's
Mama,
crazy.
I wouldn't say they're wrong about that, but it just wouldn't be a good idea to
yeah.
do it.
I mean, we just talked about how they couldn't even afford the pension bill.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay,
like, what
what
are we
makes us think we're
talking?
gonna
It's mostly
we have
Yeah.
no money.
You're like,
That's the thing.
no.
Texas needs money. Texas is in dire need of money,
Right.
and we have to figure out ways. We have to spend it right, the money that we
Yeah.
do have, and then we have to figure out new ways, somehow ways to get more money into the state without taxing people, without taking money from people.
Yeah.
Texas just needs to get its head out of its ass, or our leaders need to get their heads out of their asses
Yeah.
and come up with something. And I will.
So, within our last election, we saw a lot of conversations about like voter suppression and or voter rights. Can you kind of tell us what your stance is on some of those issues that came up, specifically like with people who took issue with Dropbox?
Yeah,
Is that the word?
Gerrymandering.
Yeah, all
Or,
that stuff.
so the big thing about that is
Well, gerrymandering for the state
just
though too.
for the map making.
Yeah.
With the voting rights, I think the only thing that really should have, I think everything was fine except for I think I wanted a 24-hour voting to go away, but I
Okay.
think drive-through voting and pull-up voting, I think that's okay.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
The bill itself is called voter.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna brain fart on that name. I'm gonna be
I don't know
very-
why.
integrity, voter integrity bill.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
voter integrity.
And
bill,
so,
yeah.
but the thing about it is the only excuse they could give for why somebody shouldn't drive through vote is, oh, maybe you have somebody in your car that'll make you vote the other
Vote
way.
the other way.
I'm not going to go drive through vote if I got some asshole in my car that's going to say, why are you voting for that person?
Yeah.
Like, you're crazy. Or your husband or your wife in your car. It's like, Why would you do that?
The radio made
It's
me
supposed
vote.
to
I
be
was
for
gonna say, yeah,
women
it's
that
like
have a car full of kids that are not going to want to go inside.
For real. Like,
Or,
you got shit to do, man. Like,
And in Houston, there's so many people that vote in Houston. You have to get the numbers through. You have to get as many people to vote as possible. And drive-through got those numbers, and that's why they wanted to get rid of it, because they wanted to kill those numbers so that they have a better chance from here on out.
And I remember we went to a rally for the People's Party.
The guy who organized the drive-through voting, he was there at the
he
rally.
was saying something like, I just want to say to all of you conservatives out there who have issue with this, just think about the fact that Houston had the #1 turnout for conservative women to go vote.
Exactly.
And how did they vote? Drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, with a bunch of kids in the back of the car.
That's what they're doing.
That's crazy,
soccer moms,
you know, and we support the soccer moms too.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
just moms.
We'll go back. I do have one other opponent in the race. Her name is Tracy Bradford.
Okay.
And she's a Christian conservative, so she's pretty far right, but she's a good woman. She's homeschooled her kids. I think she's very. I haven't met her formally, but I think she loves Texas. I think all of our candidates love Texas with all of our hearts, and we will do anything for the state.
Yeah.
I know she was president of a forum called Eagle Forum and Christian conservatives. But besides that, I don't really know too much about her. But yeah, just another religious conservative. So people that vote for Dan Patrick because he's a Christian conservative, if they now have a new person to vote for, because if you vote for Dan Patrick, when you have this other woman who is an awesome woman, you're crazy. You have to vote for Tracy. If you vote for Dan Patrick, then you're either selfish or you hate Texas because you only give a damn about yourself.
Right.
Also, I feel like the last few elections, I feel like people need to focus on a position other than the governor, because knowing who the railroad commissioner is, knowing who these other positions are that serve the Texas public are super important.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to know who your people, read a paper, people. Read a magazine.
And most of the,
watch a lot of
do you think
forums.
that there's too much coverage allocated at some of these
to the governor candidates?
Yeah.
I think it's just because I think for the governor is the day-to-day, and the lieutenant governor sets the tone for the state.
Right.
And the governor is just kind of that figure, that talking head. And so all the people that really run for governor are kind of try to be more well-known or have done something big in the past. So those people already have that name recognition. So whenever you hear, it stays that way, because whenever they report on it, you hear that name and you're like, oh, I want to hear about that. That person's running, or it just keeps it more of a star focus on the governorship, when the real real rise and grind happens in the Senate or in the legislature.
Right. Damn. I think so can I ask you, how do you see your Texas let's give it like a 5-year viewpoint. Where do you see Texas going to?
I see Texas going to a place where we start caring about each other. We have to start putting people first and caring. There's too many people in the back of the room that have too many issues and too many problems, and they need help, and they're not getting the help that they need. There's too much noise. There's just this big fight between the left and the right. This socialist this, Democrats that, and then the other side racist this or QAnon that, and it's just there's too much crazy on the outside, and we have to come to the middle. I see Texas and the United States really as like a canoe. You row on one side, the boat goes to the other side. You row on the other side, the boat goes to the other side. That's what's happening with each time, at least president wise, we go from one to the other, because that one side gets elected and they do something crazy, and they're like, and then most people are in the middle, so we'll see that. The only people, what sucks is the only people that run are people on those sides. And so we have to choose those awful people on the outsides. We just need people to run in the middle. But as far as where I see Texas going, we just need to focus on the real problems. We could do 2 complete legislative sessions just fixing the little problems and not worrying about any kind of bullshit. Oh, we care about this. Oh, we care about that. We just need to help people. And there's an issue that somebody says, I really need this help. Come together, figure out what kind of ways to solve that problem together. We have to compromise, and that's not happening either with the Democrats. So with this last thing, Republicans held the voting rights bill or the voter integrity bill hostage, which caused the Democrats to leave. If the Republicans would have said, okay, we'll take all these rests, but we will give you drive-through voting,
Right.
then they probably would have stayed, and we could have gotten a lot more done. Reforming the bail system was more important. There's so many things that are more important that they care about these one things, and it freezes the whole system. So when we're not working, we're not solving problems, and that's what has to stop. We have to work.
That's my problem with the Democratic side of the party, or the left side, is that they're not willing to like shoot the hostage, so to speak, in order to get what they want.
Right.
But on the Republican side, they're willing to kill it all to get what they want. And we just need more of that fight on this, to be able to bring people together to say, look, we need to say we're for this and we're not for anything else that this side or that side, we're for us.
Right.
And if y'all aren't up for us, we're not voting for you out on the outsides,
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question. So we do live in the South. We live in a not even so much like politically like a conservative state, which it is, but it's a real socially conservative, where some people still do have mindsets that are a bit archaic. So in moving Texas further along, what are some things that Texas should do in order to open up more dialogue and more conversation about race relationships, about,
I think we have to move beyond race. Right now is critical race theory, or Republicans think or talk about, that's the big issue right now is critical race theory.
Yeah.
And that's one class and maybe one teacher, two teachers out of 1,000 that possibly teach something along critical race theory. But critical race theory to me explained as a teacher saying that black people are better than white. And it's like the thing that if first of all, if you have a kid and if you're sending your kid to school and you're afraid that they're going to be brainwashed thinking that white people are better than blacks, what does that say on you? You need to raise your child to go into that classroom and say, no, you're an idiot and you're wrong. That's not you. We need to raise our children to look beyond race. And I think that for the most part most people are now, but there's still these just fucking shitheads that hate people for no reason besides something that they cannot change about themselves, being sexual orientation or race. And I think I think it's a personality flaw. I think that there's always going to be those stupid fucking idiots that just don't like people because they themselves are miserable or can't get laid or something. They just have miserable existences, so they hate other people, or they're just pieces of shit. Yeah. And we just have to. I think for the most part we are together, but we just need to move beyond the race talk and say this race, this or this, and just come together. I know
on the same level though with the critical race. What is the words? I'm sorry, y'all.
Critical race theory.
Yeah, the critical race theory. I know there is a want to have more education on contributions that black people had either within the state or any minority group. You know what I'm saying? With the state of Texas,
and we're arguing over whether history is true or not.
Yeah, Well, my question is, do you see that need though for more education on the works that minorities as a whole have done though within the state of Texas?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
But that can be taught. That's history.
Yeah,
but at the same time though, it's not taught though.
That's the thing.
We need to.
They're trying to make critical race. It's like a dog whistle.
Right.
That's what that is. Instead of just saying, "Hey, teach what they actually did."
Right.
And so we actually can appreciate those people on our own terms. Because there's some people who can learn the history and they're still going to have their biases,
Right.
But as long as you get that information out there, you have more and more people like, oh, this black person built that, bridge or this building.
Or was the first person to do this or.
Yeah. I get that. And I honestly, and I know there's also conversations about a reform within Texas education.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as like curriculum that is taught. And then of course I grew up in Texas during the 2000s / like late 90s. Just the tail end. So I had like TOS tests and tax tests.
Yeah,
me too.
And it was a program, and even STAR tests, which continuously proves to not show us.
And they're trying to get rid of the more. They're trying to They're trying to have more less and less standardized testing. But I mean, standardized tests say exactly where your child is, at least on English and math. I mean, without that test, you're not going to know where they are.
Yeah.
Totally.
And right now, our kids are a whole year behind on reading and all school skills. And we're worried about critical race theory when that's really not an issue when our kids are about to graduate idiots.
You can't teach them critical race theory and have them even understand that if they don't even have the mental capacity to even understand it in the first place.
So let me ask you then. So as far as the reform for education within the state of Texas, what are those things that you see the state could do to pivot to move the state into a positive direction as far as like the future of the state?
We just need to really support our teachers. Let our teachers teach.
Yeah.
If I would like to lieutenant governor, I'm going to have a massive forum with representatives, teachers from all across the state. We're going to come together and we're going to figure out how to move the state forward. Mm-hmm. I want the teachers to tell me what I need to do to help them be successful. There's so many great teachers in the state that are low paid and are going to have worked for the state for so long and are going to have crappy pensions, but we need to shore them up. We need to make sure that they're happy in their positions teaching, and they're going to teach well.
His cousin Amber, she works for the state, and she was telling me that she has twice as many students as she's supposed to have.
We
like 80
need
students.
more teachers. We need more teachers. We need good teachers, and we need these kids nowadays. I think social media, as coupled with really awful parents, are destroying our youth.
Yes.
They're making kids think that the only thing they care about, they should care about, is personal appearance and money. They don't value learning. They don't value hard work. They don't value bettering themselves. They can barely, if you go to any high school and talk to some of these kids, they don't know how to carry on a conversation with you because all they know is their phones and phone talk.
Twitter.
I did a little campaigning at UT early this semester, and talking to some of these freshmen and these kids at school, it's like they have no social skills whatsoever.
They're a different person. Yeah.
Well,
and that has to change. We have to start educating our kids and valuing education.
Yeah,
these kids have to value wanting to learn and wanting to better themselves. Education is the great equalizer. You can't do anything without without knowledge. Yeah, and we have to show these kids that it's not cool to be stupid. Mm-hmm. You need to know, you need to learn, value your education, value knowledge, and it'll change your life. And that's not what's happening. They're being shown every single day that this person looks this way. This person has this chain on. This person has this fucking diamond necklace, and that's all they care about is these material things and not bettering themselves. And that's what I want to change. I want to change the culture of Texas of just valuing what should be valued, and moving us forward that way, and coming together, lose the noise, lose these outside influences, these far right, far left groups, and come together. That is the only way we're going to move forward.
Well, y'all heard it.
Yeah.
Get it together, Texas.
Get it together.
And get it together, parents.
Yes.
These parents are awful these days. Like the Travis Scott's concert that just happened, the Astroworld. Did y'all just see that? 8 people were trampled to death with more.
I did see that this morning, actually.
But when they first opened the gates, it showed these kids just trampling over each other just to get into the building. And that was when it first opened. I knew watching that something bad was going to happen.
Yikes.
Whenever Travis Scott came on stage, everybody rushed the crowd and they got smushed to death.
Oof.
8
people.
That's a mass shooting right there.
That is, that's when I first opened my phone and saw the 8 deaths. That's originally what I thought, because I thought people had gotten past, because they were running past the metal detectors. I said, there's at least 20 guns in there.
Oh, Jesus.
And so, then when I started reading it, I saw that they were smushed to death. And they said one person was there with their child and were watching people carry out lifeless bodies.
Oh my God.
Because most people had, more over 20 people needed CPR and defibrillators.
Yeah, and that goes to
valuing
parenting,
people,
and
just having people that
making the right choice. Don't run in a crowd with just.
And everybody there, that probably the entire Astroworld concert, there's probably 500 million Facebook and Instagram posts in there. That's all these kids care about is going to Astroworld and showing the rest of the world I was at Astroworld.
Yeah.
And when you really should be not stepping on the kid's head when you're running to get past the metal detectors.
Definitely.
Like, that's what you should care about.
Well, so Bailey, you gotta chill, man.
Just trying to be a part of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. My dog wants to desperately have a conversation.
Let her get in there. Let her say something. She's like, I gotta say something about dog protection.
Oh, that's the thing too. Greg Abbott vetoed that bill the first time, saying that you can't chain your dog up in your yard with no food or water. People got pissed.
What?
And so he called a special session and they repassed it. But that should have gone through the first time. We shouldn't have gotten pissed at you for that. It started trending. Greg Abbott hates dogs, and he probably,
Holy
I bet
crap.
Little Pancake was like, well, I guess he hates me.
Damn.
Well, so let me ask you this question: with Greg Abbott and a lot of Republicans that are serving right now, Bailey, you gotta chill, man. A lot of people are calling out high-profile Republicans for kind of doing what they're doing to appease former President Trump.
Yeah, that's not.
Let me ask you: he does not need to be on the microphone. He's okay. There we go. All right, but let me ask you but what do you think about that though? Like as far as
Biden won the election fair and square. There's
Right.
no. If there was
Mhm.
cheating, not enough to change the vote. I
Right.
mean, and the fact that what we were talking about before, they have to keep that base. They have to keep the people.
Oh no. Okay.
They have to keep those people that are giving them money.
Right.
People give money when they're mad more than when they do when they're happy or hopeful.
Right.
So they're going to keep the only way they can make money, the only way they can stay in office is to support that, because once they sidestep that he didn't win, they're
Right.
finished.
It's like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
It's like you
They
gotta
have to
stick
do it,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
And that's what sucks. That's why we need people in the middle. They don't have to appease to that bullshit.
Right.
Because most people are in the middle, and we have to get away from these extreme sides.
Well, I don't ever, say I agree with him, but why am I having a brain fart now? It's
Who?
'cause of the
Trump?
weed. No,
Who? Biden?
he has a turkey neck. We all know who he is.
Look,
Thank
Mitch.
you. It's no shade to him. He's just an older man. Okay, so listen, it's gonna happen to all of us. But Mitch McConnell.
He looks like Franklin.
He does look like Franklin, though, literally. But Mitch McConnell, I don't often ever agree with him. But I mean, his statement about we all need to move on.
Yeah.
The election, happened. The man won. We have another one to prepare for. At the same time, the insurrection happened. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Take the information that we have and we need to move on and stop spending all this money on nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What do you feel about all of that? About, the conversations as far as people, I know you said with the election, but as far as people as well politicizing these two events or whatever to try to get numbers.
Just, I don't.
I said a whole bunch of words and I'm really sorry.
No,
But I mean, it is for some people voting. That's their reason to vote, though. You know what I'm saying? And for those people who may not know other issues that are going on, what do you say to those people who may be listening and maybe like, hey, I don't know, and
you can't say any of those people. If somebody that believes Trump won,
yeah,
and somebody that I don't, because right now the January 6th thing, the people that believed it first now say that it was inside people. They're not Trump supporters, but those people were there to support Trump. And what I think is really shitty is that how Donald Trump hasn't done anything to help those people. Those people were there for him, and he shit all over them.
Yeah.
And that shows your character 1,000%. Like that shows everything I need to know about you. When those people were there to say, hey, you won. And then you just turn around and shit on them.
Right.
But if somebody that you can't say anything to those people even if somebody still likes Trump even after all the stuff that he's done, there's nothing you can say to those people.
Yeah, there's a certain percentage that are just too far gone.
Yeah.
But there are some that are closer to the middle that you can at least convince and pull closer and closer and with agree on things.
Yeah. Do you think though that it's just like all of this back and forth? It's just gonna get to a point where everyone's just gonna be isolated. Is that you know what I'm saying? That's the sad part.
That's what I want. I just want to end the back and forth.
Yeah.
I want us to move forward, put Trump in the sands of time, and never speak the man's name again. Donald Trump split America in half just to gain power, and that hurts me inside. That what he's done. We are the way we are right now because of him, and now we have to pick the pieces back together. We have to put him in the past. We cannot move forward with Donald. We cannot move into another America in 2022 with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has to be over, and we have to put people in charge that want to put the pieces back together. They're going to say, forget the noise, forget this bullshit, care about each other. Stop saying the far right feeds off the far left. So when the far left does something, the far right will say, look what the far left is doing. And then the far left will be, look what the far right is doing. I hate him. And they just feed off each other. And We just need to cut that noise out and just say, both y'all shut the fuck up, and we're moving forward.
Right.
Yeah. The only person who's going to be running third party is Andrew Yang. He's gonna run third party.
Right.
Not sure if he's gonna get that much support.
Yeah, not since he lost New York.
Yeah,
Oh.
he lost that race.
Damn.
But Trump he's campaigning again already.
Well, like we said, leave that man in the dust. But
Well,
because honestly,
hey,
Texas has its own. Shit
Obviously,
yeah.
we all want this, but
Yeah, right.
just as much as CNN says they hate Trump, they love.
They
the
make their
views.
money off of him.
Oh,
Yeah,
loves it.
every
If
post on
Trump,
YouTube is,
if Twitter, gets that ban off for Trump, you better believe CNN's gonna be on that Twitter.
But my thing is,
and that's
oh no, go ahead.
what got him elected is the news coverage,
Yeah.
just having him
Free.
story after story. Yeah,
Free.
But it's interesting seeing like and then we can move on because I do want to talk about some of the things that you are running on, like what your campaign is based upon, if you will. But it is interesting to see that CNN's numbers did drop, like significantly. Oh yeah, I just made up a whole nother one, significantly. Okay, no, but I mean, so I don't know, fuck CNN.
But that's
Anyhow.
just they did that to themselves.
Yeah,
Right,
they
exactly.
did.
They're just Trump.
They traded their soul with the devil.
There was in the
know?
past 10 years, there was like 5 minutes of coverage for Afghanistan.
Wild.
And then when we pulled out,
Everything.
You saw.
and there was all that stuff that was happening in Afghanistan. There was so many things happening in Afghanistan.
I
Drone
mean,
strikes, bombings,
But
no
Fox
coverage.
News, MSNBC, CNN, all of those networks were made just so that they can showcase the military, and it was their way
Yeah.
to profit off
Propaganda.
of propaganda. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
profit off of America's military system.
Yeah.
Just shady. Just saying.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no. But let's talk about your campaign.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you are running on that you want your supporters to know about?
Really, just the big thing is property taxes. If you purchased your home for $300,000, that's going to be the price that you are taxed at for the next 20 years.
Mm.
If you, at the end of 20 years, if you are under the age of 65, I want you to just pay maintenance and operation costs for the schools. But if you're over the age of 65, I want to give you your home.
I love that.
There's too many people that have been in their homes for over 20 years, and because all these people in East Austin, they can't afford them anymore.
Truly.
And that has to stop. That allowing a Texan to lose their home because the state keeps increasing taxes, that is unacceptable. You want a Texan to lose their home so a Californian can come in and buy it
and rent it.
or
rent
an investment company to come and buy it and rent it out.
Exactly.
But then they outbidding another Texan, possibly another Texan to buy it. It's you are destroying the state by allowing that to happen. Yeah. I want to give people their homes if they've been in their homes for 20 years and they're over the age of 65. Right. And I want to end the reappraisals. You shouldn't be reappraised on your home's value. The amount that you buy your home for should be the same amount you're taxed at for the next 20 years. Yeah. And in order to do that, I am going to have to raise sales tax up at least 1 or 2 cents.
Definitely, yeah.
Listen, Texas has been getting away with that shit for
know.
years, okay?
But
it's all right if we buy it.
But allowing somebody to stay in their home means more to me than anything. I can't. It kills me to hear that so many people have to sell and move out of state because when they sell that house, they can't buy the same kind of house anywhere that's near here. Mm-hmm. They have to go down or gotta move out of state, and that's it's not right.
Yeah, shouldn't make people do that.
I just get so fearful with the amount of people that move into Texas. I'm like, there's so much beautiful land, and I would hate in 100 years if the planet makes it, and it's like all of Texas is like land and resources is just stripped,
and it's getting that way. There's so many. Texas is they're sending these. Like I said before, they care more about bringing companies to Texas, and these companies are bringing all their workforce. Mm-hmm. Like Tesla, they're hiring maybe 1,000 minimum wage workers, but the whole force is coming with them. Yeah. And they're buying all these properties up, and so it causes other people to be, there's more people buying, so they'll buy up a whole block of land, strip it out, and put houses down. It's getting that way.
Oracle, the Oracle building
with the land.
I live on Lakeshore, around Lakeshore in Pleasant Valley. and there's a huge Oracle building
It's empty.
that nobody has been there. It's
Really?
like 5 stories, 2 blocks long,
It's beautiful.
parking
And
garages.
everybody works from home.
Yeah.
Dang.
The thing that is
It's been
crazy to
empty.
me
Dang.
is that during that ice storm, you guys were
Lights
telling
were
me-
on.
Yeah, the power was
All
working.
the
You're
power,
kidding.
all the powers was
Oh,
off around it
man.
except for
For
that
that
building,
building.
which nobody was in.
That's wild. That is
I was like,
wild.
what in the world?
Yeah.
the world
and,
is-
and I think that was a big thing. I think a lot of companies had power still going to them.
Yeah.
And I know they wanted to pass legislation now to where if that does happen, you'd have to be critical infrastructure to stay on.
Mm.
I know,
Yeah,
that's
well,
wild.
But if you're just
I
some
went
random ass
downtown-
company, then no.
All of downtown, Rainy Street was
Yeah.
lit up.
yeah.
People were going to the bars during the ice
Dang.
storm.
Dang.
I luckily
I was
had
like,
power
wow.
because
I
I'm by a
didn't.
hospital and I'm by like 3 schools. Thank the Lord. But my mom, like you know, no power. Couldn't even call my mom.
No, no,
because
I had power. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
had,
you had
I had
power.
power. I just
Oh,
didn't have
sorry.
water.
I had water.
I had water.
everything,
Oh,
actually.
I don't remember.
We had water, just no power. We had hot water, doing all the hot tubs.
Snowpocalypse, that was the scariest day of my life because my mom, she lives out in Georgetown in like a new like community or whatever. So, you know, we have Sprint and Sprint's already trash. So during that whole thing, it was like power lines were
Mhm.
out and my cell phone reception with her is off and she has no power and I'm like, I can't get to her. It was horrible.
Very
Horrible,
scary.
horrible.
Yeah, that's right. I did have power, but no water, so we were out there melting snow
I get
into the
that.
bathtub.
Okay. Is there anything else though that you would like to share with your campaign?
Oh yeah,
Just-
yeah.
We're just gonna start putting people first.
Perfect.
We're just gonna get together. We're gonna come up with real issues that real people need help solving and
Mhm.
that are gonna affect Texans' lives and make Texans' lives better.
Right.
And there's so many issues. We have to make Texas a better place, and things are not going to change if our leadership stays in power.
I thought that.
It's just not going to change.
Yeah.
The path that we're on now leads in catastrophe. We have to do everything we can to get off this path. I'm reaching my hand out to Texans who know that things are not supposed to be the way they are. And all I'm asking for you is to reach out and grab my hand, and I will pull us out of this. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, gentlemen, those who have yet to make up your mind.
All in between.
You can also
Okay.
find me at on Instagram at 4 A Better Texas.
For a better Texas.
Or a better
I like that.
Texas. I was just about to ask you, where
Yeah.
can people find you?
Yeah, sorry, I should
Yeah,
have waited
yeah,
on
No,
that.
no, yeah, seriously though, no. Like, where can they
Good
find?
to get it
So
out.
No, thank
please
you.
look him up. Okay.
No.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And also, I just want you to know, I enjoy your fight, and I enjoy what you're speaking for and what you're standing up for. And I hope that more young Texans are taking up the banner and just like ready to fight because it's
Yeah,
time.
It is. We
for
have to
us
fight. We have to
step
fight
up.
for ourselves.
Yeah,
because
literally.
the people in power do not care about us.
Yes,
They
yes,
only
yes.
care about their positions and keeping that position for as
Yeah.
long as possible. Nobody's going to look out for us
Right.
but us.
Yeah.
Another big thing I'm really passionate about is law enforcement. I want the perception of police to change. I want people to care
Definitely.
and value the law enforcement and say they recognize that they do keep us safe and we do need them. And these long call times are unacceptable.
Oh yeah.
If I lose this race, my campaign is going to be a hiring campaign for law enforcement across Texas. I want to fill the ranks of Dallas, Houston, and Austin PDs
Yeah.
throughout my campaign to say, hey, if you love Texas, if you're a good person and you care about Texas, consider going to school for EMS.
Yeah.
Think about being a 911 operator, or really consider joining a law enforcement because
Serve
we
your
really,
state.
really need you.
That is
Yeah.
so real. And
Serve your
I
state.
just got to say this before we get off of this thing. I'm so glad you said that. One thing that I feel like that the world does that really irritates me is they push these like glamour careers on these
Yeah.
like high school students.
Number one
Money,
job.
money, money.
Number one job
Mhm.
is influencer.
Right? And that's crazy.
And you shouldn't aspire to be an influencer.
No.
Truly.
not at all.
And I'm like, you know what? Being a lawyer is fabulous. An influencer, if that is a career, whatever. To aspire. But like people who are nurses, people who are firefighters, people who are EMS, people who are first responders in general, That is the real shit.
People who take care of people.
Literally. And that is what makes the world go round.
My father was he was a firefighter for 33 years.
Wow.
And just as a kid, just spending nights at the fire station with them and just being around. I just care very much about
That's pretty cool.
And those people
they should be paid more too.
Yeah,
period.
And their retirements shored up.
Exactly. And honestly, teachers, encourage your students. Learn about other things. You know what I'm saying? Other than these glamour jobs.
I do remember the times when I was younger and, kids were like, I want to be a fighter or a firefighter or a policeman or this.
I want a reality TV show.
Yeah. I want to be Kim Kardashian.
Yes. Thank you so much again.
No,
Please tell us again where they can follow you on Instagram.
On Instagram at 4A Better Texas with the number 4. 4A Better Texas.
4A Better Texas.
Ladies and
your name is?
And Zack Vance.
Yes.
Zack Vance.
Yeah.
And I was about to say, we end our show, we say each other's names. So I'm going to say, hi, I'm Zach.
And I am Cam.
You're Malcolm.
No, I'm Malcolm.
Yeah.
And this has been a lot to say.
Yeah. So I'm really bad with names.
No,
no.
It's all good. We're friends now. So it's
right,
okay.
yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please check out our friend Zach on Instagram. So one more time again.
4A Better Texas.
4A Better
And
Texas.
and you can find me on Facebook too at Zack 4 Better Texas, and then same thing on YouTube eventually. But everything for right now is on Instagram until I get some funds rolling in. And if you hear what I'm saying and you like what I have to say and you think that if you want the future for Texas, the biggest thing I need is people to share me. I need people to know about me. Mm-hmm. If you think that I'm a good person for you and for Texas, I would really appreciate if you could find me on Instagram and share me with as many people as you could. Definitely. I am going to do my best for you. I promise. Things are going to change.
And I will be sharing because I need a better Texas.
Hell yeah, me too.
Because these property taxes are a motherfucker.
They got to go down. They got to go down. I want to definitely at least relieve the take the tax burden of uninsured hospital visits. Also, that's the biggest chunk is uninsured visits to uninsured people who visit hospitals. They got to figure out another way to pay for that besides taxing the homeowner for it.
Because honestly, that shit's crazy.
It's
crazy.
Everything can't be for profit.
Honestly,
right.
Well,
especially health.
Yeah, especially uninsured health.
Well, we thank you again, though, dude. You're amazing. Keep the fight going, and also remember, people, the only way you can support this brother is if you are a registered voter
and make it to the polls. Be registered and go.
And go.
Yeah, and go.
Okay, so please remember it's your right, and somebody died for that right for you to have. So thank you again, Zach.
Thank you.
And please keep up the fight.
I will.
Hell yeah.
It's only gonna get it's only gonna more get out of control here.
It's only downhill from here.
You said that, I was like, oh, that's right.
No. The fight is about to get kicked up.
Man.
I'm taking the fight to the top. So.
Yes, and we're right there with you.
I appreciate that.
You gotta walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, please check our friend Zach out for Better Texas. Share the information and also learn about politics within your area, local and federal. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Please subscribe and say nice words. We love comments.
Come together.
Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about my platform.
About us.
Yeah, I was specifically about the podcast, but that too. You know what I'm saying? That's great. Like and subscribe. And Malcolm has been doing a fabulous job editing also. So
hey, I tried. I'm learning.
Shout out. And Ricky also engineering. Okay. Goodbye, guys.
Bye. Take care.
Yeah.
That's just
later.
Goodbye.
Bye. Later.